All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Green White Checker TV. It is season opener for the Super Speedway Truck Series here tonight at Talladega Superspeedway. Trucks just now starting to get on track to put down their qualifying laps, and it looks like we're going to have a pretty good kind of trucks here. I think upper 20s, maybe low 30s, it looks like, that are going to be taking part in tonight's event. So as you can see, as always, 75 laps is the race distance. However, of course, there is that potential of 3 attempts of that green-white checkered finish. And as I said, we've definitely seen some of those changed outcomes of the races over the course of the season. And the other thing we got to do is pull up our race season schedule here for this Area 51 Truck Series. And you can see it's going to be one main addition you're going to notice here, and that is the addition of 2 races at iRacing Super Speedway. So that's one's always going to throw a big wrench into things. So these trucks going to be going probably about 230, 240 over there. It's going to be a lot of fun. That's going to be definitely a wild one for these guys to have. But you can see season's going to pretty much start, obviously, tonight, go all the way to the very end of March for the 12-race season. Of course, the 4-race playoffs. And that'll take the top 8 in the points, and we'll see who comes out on top. And I say last season we had a bunch of drivers there that were in the running for it. But before we get into those drivers, I say I got to bring in my partner in crime, Brendan Webb. Brendan, pleasure to have you back. Hopefully you had a restful and/or productive holiday break. I say we're back into it and get to watch some trucks, have some fun here tonight.
Yeah, looking forward to it. You know, I've been watching this practice, and we're seeing a little bit of what we saw at the very end of the season last year, where these guys are, having trouble getting just a little bit off center, and it causing a little bit of havoc. But these guys have always been known to adjust really well, and we'll see what happens as the race goes on. We may have a long night ahead of us.
Yeah, I say I'm looking at the list of drivers. Not too many names, too many new names, new faces. As I go through the list here. So say maybe just a couple overall, but as a whole, pretty much the regulars, if you will. So it's gonna be fun to see. And like we talked about the playoff guys. Obviously, I think the ones to watch are going to be right off the bat will be, of course, Sebastian Marin, who is right in the thick of it. Also, the one of Gabe Butler, our defending champion for their Thursday series. But then also, I mean, we mentioned some of the drivers that made some really big noise that we didn't talk about during the season initially, like Robert Rock. I mean, we talked about the 23 and the 1 nonstop, but it was actually Robert Rock that finished second in the points. So if he can kind of continue the form he had, especially during the playoffs, would not be surprised to see him try to kind of see if he can jump that one spot when it comes time for the playoffs at the end of March.
Yeah, you definitely see really different approaches when it comes to the point series and when it comes to the entirety of the season. You've got guys like Sebastian Marin and Gabe Butler that they want to lead every lap. That's their entire goal. Every lap, every night is to be the first car in line the entire time. And you got guys like Robert Rock that just bide their time and they put themselves in the right place at the right time, and they're where they need to be when the checkered flag falls. So, there's not a right or a wrong way, but, I guess there's more than one way to skin a cat for sure.
Yeah, exactly right. So we still got a little bit of time left here in the qualifying session. Looks like about just over a minute left. I say another one. I say we got to make sure we mention, because just in case mom's watching, we don't want to get in trouble. And that's going to be those twins, Patrick, Seth Gruber. We saw those guys make some big noise over the course of the season, even getting that 1-2 finish at one point as well. So I think those two will definitely be some to watch. But I'm also looking, we talk about Gabe Butler. We mentioned before, he didn't really have a lot of help over the course of the season, but I think he's been able to pick up a few helpers throughout last season and kind of continuing into this season. So I expect to see that one truck, of course, as always, Eric Laurie in the 071. It's good to see Dale Willoughby in the 7 truck. And then a new number, JD Crow, going from the 35 to the 5. So that's a pretty strong 4-truck group over here. Then I'm also looking at some of the other drivers we've got in store here. We got a couple of our Xfinity kind of, what do you call it, maybe dominating drivers of Maxwell Caldwell and Ryan Kelly. I say they're kind of getting tipping their toe in the Super Speedway Truck Series as well. It'd be fun to see what they can do. And then also the 89 of Nick DeGroot, one of our perennial IndyCar drivers who is just extremely fast in those open wheels. So he's going to do a little bit of learning as well with these trucks here in super speedway fashion. So it's going to be fun to see. Going to be some quick learners, I think, tonight.
Yeah, I don't think these guys are going to have any problem jumping in and learning the ropes of the truck series. The Xfinity cars are really similar, and and to in an odd way, the Indy cars are similar as well. That there's draft plays a big part in those races also. So these guys are going to learn how to play it safe and be at the right place at the end, and hopefully all make it there in one piece.
Yeah, exactly right. And so as I say that, you see everybody starting to grid now. So let's go ahead and pull up our starting lineup for tonight's event. And it's going to be on pole position. Not a surprise here. Sebastian Marin once again gets pole position, and he pretty much ran the gamut over the course of the season in that 23 truck. So he's going to grab another pole here over Dean Wilkinson in second. Then I've talked about Seth Patrick Gruber. They're going to line up third and fourth in row number 2. And then you got Bud Steele, Scott Ferguson, Chummy Miller, Gabe Butler. Actually, surprising, not the lap I would have expected from him in 8th. Then you got J.D. Crow, Dale Willoughby, Eric Laurie. That being said, though, look at those teammates all together there, 8th through 11th. And then Vicente Guerrero in 12th. We'll kind of drop a little further. This Nick DeGroot, again, our IndyCar specialist there in 13th. Then you got Robert DuPont, Maxwell Caldwell, Ryan Kelly. They line up right together as well. Like I said, these guys seem to be planning it well. We got Derek Gilray, Jimmy Reynolds, William George, B.K. Anderson, Rick Seabrands, Jack Walls, Mark Mann, and Robert Rock in 24th. And we'll drop to the remaining drivers here. You've got Keith Horner, Jay Hilliard, Michael Spell, Bob Fitzgerald, Dustin Lamb, James Hickson, Jason Adams, TJ Allen, and Todd Siebel. So it looks like 33 trucks strong here for tonight's event.
Yeah, big field. Looks like we're going to have a lot of action, but I think the cream always rises, and I think you're going to see a lot of the same guys up front.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing strategy call number 1 here. We've seen it before, and I think we're seeing it right away now here. That's going to be drivers starting from pit road here, Brandon. And that's going to be our pole sitter, Sebastian Marin. He's going to start from the pits, along with Eric Laurie, Dale Willoughby, and Gabe Butler. These guys all opting to start from pit road here tonight. So maybe just wanting to kind of, again, maybe those early nerves, just like, hey, things got a little hectic on the first couple laps last season. Let's work together here and see if we can make something happen. And Sebastian Marin also in that group, so they'll have the 4 of them. I mean, that is a pretty stout group of drivers to have in that pit road to come out together. So it'll be fun to see what they can do. However, kind of a little present there for the 0-2 of Seth Gruber, puts him now on the front row on the inside line.
Yeah, probably not a terrible idea. We've got a large field here tonight. We've got a couple new drivers. And you know what? These guys that are starting from the pits, number 1, we've got a couple teammates, and we've also got guys that finished in the top 4 of the points last year. These guys know how to get it done, and they part of getting it done last year was kind of trying to figure out what the strategy call was going to be to avoid those accidents and be where you needed to be. So I think this is going to be a smart play. Play it safe, and you've got some really fast guys here, so I wouldn't worry too much about them losing the draft or losing a lap.
Yeah, and that'll be the next question: is if we do get to the green flag pit stop window, do those 4 trucks, do they get to that group of the pack of drivers here before that pit stop window? We've seen it before where they've done it and they get up there before it's pit stop time. So it'll be fun to see as well how quick maybe they get up to that pack, or like you said, maybe like I said, early yellow, they can kind of just then back it down, keep it safe, and kind of let the carnage unfold in front of them. So the one teammate of theirs that's not in that mix is that number 5, though, of J.D. Crow. We just mentioned him a little earlier. So I'll say JD kind of the odd man out in that pack, so he decided he wanted to stay in the pack here and just kind of maybe stick with the pack and see how things unfold for him that way instead.
It's going to be a long night as we come in the front straightaway here. I mean, it's there's going to be so many different strategies at play, and as the pace car ducks off, we're going to see in about an hour and a half here which one of those strategies is the way to go.
Yeah, exactly right, and that's kind of how these races go. Is just it never ceases to change from time to time. What's going to be the way to win these races? Always takes a lot of skill, but always a little bit of luck involved as well. But it's going to be that inside row of Seth Gruber, outside row of Dean Wilkinson, leading the field to the green. Again, though, initial start goes on the green flag, so we won't see anybody jump early as the green flag is down and away as Seth Gruber and Dean Wilkinson lead the field to turn number 1 for the first time this season. As they also looking further back, those 4 drivers have left pit road, so they are all out together, pretty much all in line, lockstep with one another. But it's going to be the 0-1 of Patrick Gruber shoving Dean Wilkinson to the front here, and he's going to immediately jump to that inside line. And so those brothers so far still split off from one another here, but I think at some point you will see them get hooked up together. But I think right now they're just kind of playing nice and kind of let things sort out the way it's going to play out, and then go from there.
Yeah, there's really only a handful of strategies, at least at this point in the game. You've got some guys that are going to try to lead every lap, and they want to get to the lead as quickly as possible. You've got some guys who qualified well but want to drop to the pack, like Maxwell Caldwell, already dropped down to the apron on the back straightaway and trying to get just a riding partner. Then you got these guys at the far back that started from the pits, but it'll be interesting to see as they play out and as they already go 3 wide through turn 2. It'll be interesting to see, whose strategy is going to pay off in the long run.
Yeah, so it looks like that outside line. That's JD Crone trying to see who's the pusher with him. Now adds another. I think it's BK Anderson, if I'm not mistaken. And you can see right there, close call there, but JD just squeezes down in front of Dean Wilkinson there to take the point. Like you said, from that third line straight to the yellow line once it was clear. Unfortunately for that 32 truck, BK Anderson gave him a great push, but then unfortunately he gets left out. You can see him starting to fall back now.
Yeah, these guys, they're going to kind of ebb and flow as the night goes on. What I'm really looking forward to at this point is how quickly the teammates get together. At this point, I see the Groovers. They started just really 2 cars apart, but they're kind of already starting to separate. And then seeing how everybody else kind of ebbs and flows. But 3 wide already, it's going to make an interesting night if it keeps up for sure.
Yeah, that's a nice see the 6 of Bud Steele. He's going to pop up in that middle line. He's got the 4 truck of Scott Ferguson behind him. And saying the Groovers have kind of found each other. They've got the 32 in between of BK Anderson. But I say again, if you want somebody in between you, that's not a bad truck to have. He's obviously been shown to be a great pusher. So, but like I said, though, these guys wasting no time getting comfortable going 3x3 here, as it looks like it's about 3x3, about 3 rows deep, and then a little spacing. Then so you really almost be adding 5 rows deep, because I see the 37 of Keith Horner in there in that Kellogg's Cornflakes car, and then also I think it's the 12 of James Hickson as well. So the other thing we're going to be looking at, though, Brandon, is going to be lap times. I'm watching the lead pack here. Seth Groover, the fastest last time by, of 51.65. That group behind with Gabe Butler and company, they ran 51.65. So pretty much right on par with one another. As you see, there goes the Dean Wilkinson. He got that lap lead. He's going straight to the back here. He said, all right, I got that bonus point. I'm going to back it down here and just play it safe.
Yeah, playing that strategy card again. I don't expect these guys in the back that started from the pits to fall a lap down. They're some of the better drafters and draft partners in this group. So right now, I think their main goal is not necessarily to make up ground, but to just maintain ground. So when that caution inevitably comes out and we get our big one, hopefully they'll be in a safe spot. And man, the leaders are already dicing it up here.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, is they're being very dicey right away here. As right now it's been Seth Gruber who's actually taking the point. As I say that now, it's going to actually be the 4 of Scott Ferguson kind of bouncing between the 2 of them. But again, looking at lap times, so that last time by, Gabe Butler half a second faster than our leader. And there goes one more ducking off. This time Bud Steele said, yeah, you guys go on ahead here. But again, this is the risk versus reward here. So he drops down here, but he's got to find the hold to get back in. And if he's not, he's going to have to use some apron. Basically gets a nice break there. Trying to check who that was. I think that may have been Rick Seabrans, if I'm not mistaken. That said, yeah, it is in the Blue Yeti. Oh, contact actually. This might be exactly what we're talking about. James Hickson. He hangs on to that truck. We stay green. But that's going to separate this pack a little bit, and that's also going to give that group behind, we talked about those 4 drivers, going to give them a big head start here to try to catch this pack.
Yeah, I think that was a case of just some cars moving around, being a little bit, not really that dicey, but just moving around and not realizing that somebody had kind of put their nose in there. Just kind of a racing deal, but man, a miraculous save and a great job by everybody around them to avoid that.
Yeah, and you kind of wonder if it was maybe a bit of a checkup, what we talked about with that 6 truck having to merge back from the apron onto the track, where the 76 was able to let him in, but then, that kind of that accordion effect, if you will, sometimes it starts to bite some of those drivers a little further back. So what that's done is it's given us 18 trucks in this lead pack, but then Ryan Kelly, Maxwell Caldwell, they're kind of left here trying to pick up the pieces and get back up there. I said they got about 6 trucks right now locked on with them. You see a couple more coming in behind. And then, of course, that group of Gabe Butler and company, they're right here with them. So let's say they're going to have pretty much from 19th to 33rd all locked in together here shortly. So now it's just going to be all about kind of getting organized and trying to work together to bring that gap back down. As right now, sitting at about 3.5 seconds from Ryan Kelly to Rick Seabrands, and that's going to be the number we look at because once he gets within, let's say, a second and a half, maybe 1 second, these trucks, it just feels like you pick up another gear and they just roar to the front. So right now, say the lap times are pretty equal with the leaders now that they've got lined up here. I'm watching the interval, hasn't moved too much, so I think they are starting to pick up the lap times that they were looking for here as they kind of, like I said, kind of regroup from that incident. Yeah,
as you're looking at that incident, I'm watching the leaders here, and we talked during practice, kind of off the mics, that some of these guys they know how to clear themselves, is probably the polite way to put it. And Patrick Groover just made the move down to the inside, and whether he was clear or not, he was going to be clear. So got the lead out of it, but man, these guys, they race super hard, super early, for 75 laps.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's the fact that it's going to be a 3 pit stop race with these trucks. They get maybe about low 20s in fuel. I'd say like 22, 23 roughly is probably what they can realistically do. We won't see anybody stretch it for a 2-stopper like on Sunday with the Xfinity cars, so it should be a 3-stop race. And so, I mean, that's the thing, is you kind of think like, all right, well, let's let the pit stops kind of settle this race out and see how it all shakes out. But like I said, these guys are just like, yeah, you know what, we're gonna race. Like it's not we're gonna be parading for 50, 60 laps and then go for those last 15. They're going for it every 75 laps in this one.
Yeah, there's no chill in this group. This front group, they're not of the mentality of it's fun to just finish the race. They want to win every lap. So we'll see what happens in the end. But it's a risky strategy when you just want to be in the front the entire time. It's one races for others though, so you can't really knock it, I guess. Yeah, exactly right. And I say the other part is too is when you're up front, you get talked about by Brandon. So I mean, you want to be up in that top 5, top 10 group here to get that TV time from probably some of everybody's favorite commentators. So I say that's also, I think, part of it there as well. Everybody wants me to say let's go to them. So right now though, we've got a great race going on. We're 10, 15 rows back, 2 by 2. You just never know who's going to lead the next lap. Yep, that's exactly right. And saying right now, like I said, it's been in between the 02 the 01 and the 83. 02 and the 83. But then as I said, the 01 able to push the 83 to the front in front of his brother. And it's been now 10 laps here, and the two groovers have not been able to find a way to get locked onto one another. But they've been they've been putting their stamp on this race from the get-go, where it's basically been one of them pushing another person to the front or themselves leading as well. So while they're not locked on together, which honestly may be a blessing for the rest of the field, they've done a really good job working together. But I think, I was about to say, here comes that lock on together, though they're finally going to get partnered up. It took 10 laps, but now we see that 01 and 02. They're going to hook bumpers here and see if they can put both of themselves to the front. That was one of the things that I noticed calling the races last season with you is the story of the race almost, lap after lap was, when were the teammates going to get together? Whether it be the groovers, whether it be the Dale Cup guys, different parts of the season would have different guys connecting. But when the teammates got together, it seemed like they would just rocket to the front regardless of what team it was. So tonight, it took a little bit longer for that to happen. We got 2 separate packs, actually almost 3. I'll be interested to see what happens when these couple of packs come back together and some of these teammates match up again. But, haven't seen as much teammate racing as we saw all season last year so far. Yeah, it's exactly right. It seems like the teammates have been pretty split up so far, but again, we talked about with those two, when they get together, look at that third or the second line, it's nowhere near them anymore. They've dropped back a couple of rows, and that's allowed now some drivers from the inside line to kind of peek back up. It looks like, I think it's BK Anderson, the first there in the 32 truck, to poke up there. And again, that just shows how good these two are at working together. And I'd say, kind of wonder if, jokingly, let's say, of course, with these two being the twins, say maybe some like telepathy where they can kind of somehow communicate with each other without even talking, and say they just know what the other one's going to do. Because they'll say whatever it is, it's been working. But as I say that, here comes that 32 with the 04 of Chummy Miller, giving him a big push here down the back, as now they're trying to work their way up. As you see, they got side by side for the lead. Now it's just waiting for that third truck there, the 37 of Keith Horner, to kind of help push that momentum just that little bit further forward. Yeah, a lot of times what we see during the race, the ebb and flow, is what the second and third lines can do. When we get 2 and 3 lines, sometimes the outer lines can maintain a little bit more of their momentum as long as they can stay lined up. I don't know that they can push quite as hard just because they're reacting a little bit more, but it may even be the safer play to run that second or third line. That way you've got a little bit more room to get out of Dodge if you need to. But right now, they're maintaining pretty well with fewer cars.
Yeah, exactly right. I say they've done a really good job to get that second line going once again. I say, and it's all, a lot of it too is just driver preference. I mean, for me, I've always been one I've never been really a braver driver to run that second, that third line unless it was really time to go, and that's pretty much what you had to do. I was always have the habit of just run the yellow line, basically, kind of try to run like mid pack. Basically, I would roughly be probably right around where Derek Gilray is there in that 46 Flow Racing truck, right outside the 2-3 wide racing, but on the inside line, and that way if something happens. Usually they find their way up to the top before they make it to the bottom, and so it kind of gives you the apron and the grass to kind of hopefully sneak away from it. So that's usually my personal preference when I'm racing. But like you said, though, some trucks, though, they feel like you can do more. You have more control over things on the outside, especially, of course, once it's crunch time. I agree. I think you got to get to that second or third lane if you're not in that first or second row on the inside line. So it's almost a 180 mile an hour chess match, really.
It really is, and sorry, Tom Cruise, there will be no copyright infringement tonight for that Superflow truck. But I completely agree. When you're on the bottom line, you kind of have blocked yourself off. You can't really get put in a bad position quite as easily. But when you're in the second or the third line, somebody else can create a 3-wide scenario where you're kind of at the mercy of someone else. So. It's a chess match the entire time you're running around here, just trying to bide your time, get to the finish. Well, some of you guys are trying to get to the finish. Some of these guys are trying to win it now. But it's all about the strategy of where you want to be and where you're comfortable. And obviously, we can tell looking at these guys tonight, everybody's got a different place that makes them happy and makes them comfortable.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. And what's nice too is, like I said, some new names, some new faces. To the Thursday series, I should say, we've had a few drivers that have actually run over the course of the Sunday and Monday and Tuesday here. Say one of those being, like mentioned, that 04 Chummy Miller with the that TJ. What was it? The TJ Chummy Esports group. Say they've really picked up Area 51 kind of by storm, helping out sponsorship and a lot of things like that. Say because that group doing driver coaching, paint schemes for trucks if they want it. And so you can see a couple of them in the race as well, like William George in the 09, not too far behind. He's kind of in that same boat right there as well. So they got a couple of them. I think the 95, yeah, TJ Allen, he's right there as well. So they've got at least 3 of their trucks here in this main pack so far in this race. I mean, I'd say it's a good start of the race for these guys with that way everything kicked off. So but as they say that, though, here comes that third lane once again with the 37 of Keith Horner. And not a surprise here, that 5 of JD Crow. He loves to try to make outside lines happen and just has a knack for shoving these guys to the front.
He really does. He's probably one of the better pushers on the track tonight. And Keith Horner's a great guy to be pushing. Probably one of the steadiest wheels and most reliable guys. So it's always interesting to me, though. We're probably coming up on 8 to 10 laps away from our pit window, and these guys they're not calming down. They're 3 wide, jockeying for position. Usually about this time we'd start to see people start to get to the lower line to make that access to get to for their pit road access, but not now. They want to get to the front, and they're all doing all they can to get there.
Yeah, exactly right there. I was saying one of those to say still been working that second line as much as he's can. I was saying again, just trying to get really good pushes from that 04 behind him. I was saying again, that was BK Anderson, that 32 truck. He's trying to work that second groove. He was just about there, but then again, just the momentum again, just the ebb and flow. He had a chance, and now you see he's about the 3rd car in line there next to Jack Walls now instead of the Gruber brothers. So I say it's just, and you can see even I think you're starting to see it now though. Actually, Brandon, you can see how much that second line is really starting to fizzle out. Only 3 trucks left in it here. So I think we're about to start to see some trucks actually drop to that inside line to kind of get ready for that pit stops. But what that is doing though is I think that's starting to slow down the pace of this front group just a little bit. And again, while I'm looking at the lap times for Patrick and Seth Gruber, really it's more realistically the lap times of Bud Steele, Rick Seabrands, because again, they're the ones that are kind of the caboose, if you will, of this train. And so that's going to be the drivers that Gabe Butler is looking for to try to catch here, which right now he's about four and a half seconds behind that 6 truck. So hasn't obviously got as close as he wants to, but I've been watching that ticker and it's been closing. It was about 4.3 at after 4. Now it's under 4, and it's closing very quickly here. And so yeah, so I think right now Gabe is. I think now they're starting to put that really big charge on to try to get there before our first set of pit stops.
Yeah, these guys are doing all they can right now to just kind of be in the right position. They see these pit stops coming up. We're I think 19 laps in, I think if I remember from last season, I think we were 21 to 23 laps of fuel mileage there. So that everybody wants to kind of be in position, but if you're caught out and you can't play the strategy with the rest of your teammates or with the rest of the guys that you want to pit with, a lonely place on the track will cost you a lap for sure, in a heartbeat.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. So right now, you can see the second group. I mean, they're very, very well organized for those front 4 or 5 trucks here, all just running single file. That gap from Gabe to Bud is now down under 3.5 seconds, as they ran a 31.55 compared to Bud Steele 52.08, so over half a second quicker. And so I say they just get a little closer, and you can see them now in the background. They're pretty visible out the back mirror probably of that 6 truck. But you can see now you got the whole field here now all single file, because they know it's just about time to make those pit stops. And honestly, for me, this is actually when I like to make that move to the second lane. I try to save fuel as much as I can for that first run. But we got some pit stops starting up here, and it looks like it's going to be those TJ Chummy Esports drivers, with Chummy Miller, William George is in, as well as Dustin Lamb and TJ Allen. They're going to all come in together, so it's going to be, as I said, a little bit of contact between the 10 and the 95. That's really going to hurt the 95 here. Has to reverse a ton to get to his pit stall. And that's unfortunately going to drop him most likely off that group. So that's the risk of these pit stops, is you got to make sure you're coordinated with one another. Unfortunately, they just were off a little bit, and that's really bit them there.
Yeah, I'm still watching lap times here. What's interesting is as the race ebbs and flows, we've got 2 definite, distinct packs and groups of racers right now. But up until the last few laps, the fastest laps have been in the second pack. They've been definitely making progress, but right now I think everybody's more interested in pit strategy and more interested in getting onto pit road as cleanly as possible and getting out as quickly as possible. So as we see more pit stops there, I think it's going to take a few laps for all this to cycle back out, but it could end up bringing that second group together a little bit quicker.
Yeah, and so you can see you got a whole bunch of, pretty much both packs actually. I have a group of trucks from each pack here all hitting pit road. So I'll say, honestly, probably about 15 plus trucks here hitting pit road altogether. The Groovers one's to lead that one off. I'll say so that's allowed now. JD Crow, he's stretching this one out a little bit further. He's going to get shoved for all he is worth again. And this is going to be new for Nick DeGroot here. Say he is very good at his pit road entry and exits with the Indy cars, but these trucks are heavy. They don't have nearly the brakes that the Indy cars do. So he's going to have to be a little bit cautious. You can see already. Again, I mean, it looks like he's able to get right on it here very nicely. There, it looks like all in together. Great job by those 4 of JD Crow, Nick DeGroot, Rick Seabrands, and Jimmy Reynolds there. And then here comes that second pack. And look how much closer they were on the pit entry there of Sebastian Mayer, Gabe Butler, Dale Willoughby. It wasn't very far back. We had to cycle to see from the back of those trucks to the front of this pack here. So I think they gained a ton of time right there on the entry here into pits.
Yeah, you talk about being good at getting onto the pit road, and we're seeing more of what we saw last year. Sebastian Mayer makes up 4 spots just on pit road entry. He has mastered the pit road braking and downshifting to get down to the correct speed. I've never seen anyone that can get onto pit road as quickly as he has. And I mean, and look at it. It's brought him back out in the front of this pack. So he and Gabe Butler, 2 of their fastest guys week in and week out, are leading this group off of pit road. And it looks like they're going to be able to catch on to the back of some of these other cars as they come by.
Yeah, I'd say the field is really starting to spread out a little bit. And looks like the winner overall through the set of pit stops is going to be Robert DuPont. He's going to pass those guys that just pitted that lap later there. And it's going to be Robert DuPont, Jack Wells, Seth Gruber there are going to be the top 3 here now. So great job. I say we're talking about how good of a pit stop and how good of an entry that number 23 Sebastian Mayer did. this time, I mean, I'm going to say hats off Robert DuPont because, I mean, a great pit stop obviously too, but obviously you had to get the entry and exit down as well. And they've basically now they've created about a 10-car pack here from Robert DuPont to Jimmy Reynolds, and then they've got about 3 seconds now on Derek Gilray being the second pack here with Ryan Kelly, Keith Horner, and Bud Steele. And then so you get another second or so back to Sebastian Marin. It's actually just him and Gabe Butler, just the two of those guys. They've been able to break away from that other pack. And so yeah, so now we've got, like you said, about three. Yeah, it's gonna be about 3 solid packs here. You got first to 10th. You're gonna have 10th to 15th, and then 10th to 17th, and then you're gonna have looks like 18th. Or I'm sorry, 17th with Bob Fitzgerald all the way back to about William George, maybe even Dustin Lamb if he can tag on. But it looks like the two that got the worst out of this, though, is going to be Dale Willoughby and Michael Spell. They are way off the pace here. And then, unfortunately, one driver here, Brandon, got busted in the pits. That's that 12 of James Hickson. He's, unfortunately, a very lonely man here just now. Actually, looks like now rolling the apron. May have actually just pitted on 22. No, he's just rolling the apron. I don't know, something might be going wrong with that 12 truck. And of course we saw the contact with that 95 of TJ Allen, and him missing his pit stall. That's what's dropped him so far back as well.
Yeah, you hate to see that. You hope it's not anything that's gonna affect him for the long term of the race. But we've gone probably a little bit further than we typically go before our first caution here. And I'm looking at this second group of guys. They let Sebastian Marin and Gabe Butler come right on by them. I think they recognize who the good pushers and who the good pullers are. And with the head of steam that they had, it was kind of hard to slow them down anyway. But what we've got right now is 3 definite packs, but we've also got, what that's going to do is kind of bridge the gap in a way. The gap from the first to the second pack is not that far, and then that's going to pull in the guys from the third pack. So I wouldn't be surprised if the next 5 or 10 laps we've got one giant pack, and at that point, man, if we thought it was exciting before, it's just going to take it to another level.
And I think you're actually right on there, Brandon, because right now it's about just over 2 seconds from Sebastian Marin to Jimmy Reynolds. They're in 10th position. But then Bob Fitzgerald, Mark Mann, they're doing a great job. They actually were 50-62 compared to Gabe, and Sebastian 51-41. So they gained 0.8 of a second there over them, and a second and 0.2 quicker than Seth Gruber. So this third pack is pretty much right about to grab onto the back of that second pack. And I'm watching the intervals as well from Sebastian Marin and Jimmy Reynolds. That gap is closing. So yeah, so we're going to go from 3 separate packs here to, I believe, 1 pack of 28 trucks here. And probably about the next, I was going to say 2 laps. I think at this point it's going to be probably just 1 more lap, and we're going to have them all bunched up together. Yeah,
it just goes to show you what, a little bit of pit strategy, but just reshuffling the field can do. Getting Sebastian and Gabe together, the rest of the field kind of cringes a little bit. But before we went through the caution cycle, Sebastian and Gabe were about 6 seconds off of the lead. Now they're in the lead pack, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them, work their way to the front. They're not the kind of guys that like to sit around. This third pack is already caught up as well. So we've grown everybody back together. Right now we're relatively strung out, relatively single file. I do not expect that to last very long at all.
No, and that's going to be, yeah, exactly right. Once someone gets the momentum they're looking for, say, all right, let's jump to that second line or whatever it may be. And I think I may have seen one of the first takers there. That's going to be Eric Laurie. Trying to see who he's tagged on with. That's Maxwell Caldwell. And I say Maxwell, another one. He's not one really to ride very often. So I think he did his riding in that first race. He said, all right, let's jump up. Let's go have some fun here. And I say Eric always more than happy to oblige. And as they say that, here comes more and more trucks starting to peek on out there. I think I saw... Yep, once again, BK Anderson. And say, I don't know if BK's been able to get a lap lead yet, so now he's got that 14 of Vicente Guerrero, and he is going after it right now. Great pushes from that 14 to the 32. And I say he's going to get just a nose ahead here through 3 and 4, and actually I think that momentum might be able to push him all the way to the front come start-finish line.
Yeah, I think what you run into at this stage in the race is, when you kind of plan out your race before you start, and you expect I think a lot of these guys probably expected a caution during the first fuel run. So when that didn't happen, I think, guys like Maxwell Caldwell, who had shuffled themselves to the back just to play it safe, they decided, hey, it didn't happen then, let's go. So Maxwell Caldwell shuffled himself to the back early on, and look at him now in the top 10. and working his way up. So I think it's going to be a little bit even more exciting this time around than the last fuel cycle.
Yeah, exactly right. You can see now BK finally got that push. He needed to get to the inside line. I believe he had the lead at the line last time by, but I say without other than a huge push around 37 to the 14. I was going to say he'd pretty much be guaranteed to get the lap lead this time, but as I say that, Seth Gruber, he found just enough opening to sneak in front of that 14 truck. So now it's going to be another one of those side by side at the line, and it's going to be Seth that is able to lead that lap there in that 02 truck. So. We've been talking about the Gruber brothers. They haven't been able to lock on a lot tonight. When they have, they've been very effective. But actually, speaking of which, we got to find Patrick here because Seth obviously been right up front here. Seth's actually a little bit mired back here. He's now trying to push that third lane up there with Bud Steele, Dean Wilkinson. So they've kind of got separated a little bit. However, I'm looking just ahead of these guys here, Brandon. It's going to get a little dicey because you got that 95 of TJ Allen. He's working the outside line. But they're running 3x3 behind, so we'll see if he stays up top or he might make a late duck to the apron here as I see him starting to cut down. Yep, there he goes. He's going to go straight to the apron, and we've seen that a lot of times in this league. Once, if the field's 3x3, you'll see that lap driver just go straight to the apron. So hats off to TJ there, saying it's honestly, while it's something we come to expect to see here, it's not something that's a very common thing. So again, just hats off to all the drivers for just the courtesy that they give one another. Really, really cool to see throughout the series.
Yeah, it really just goes to show what Area 51 Racing brings to the table when it comes to the level of talent and the level of professionalism. While you were looking at that, and I was kind of watching the same thing, but I had Bud Steele kind of pulled up in my crosshairs here. He and Dean Anderson almost just wrecked it all. They lined up, got a little bit just off center, and they were pushing as hard as they can, which is taking them to the lead right now. But it just goes to show you, these guys, they bring the talent, but, man, it takes 1 inch off, and you can really change the outcome of the race for a lot of people.
Yeah, exactly right. So I might have to apologize. I think we might be having a little bit of frame difficulties here. Hopefully things will settle in here in just a little bit. But, yeah, right now, like I said, 3x3. Now, so we're talking about it picking up, and it's definitely been picking back up once more here. So, these guys are going at it once again. And we're talking about where Seth Gruber was. Patrick Gruber was. I guess he was listening because he's right back into the thick of this one as well now.
Yeah, Gruber, but it doesn't matter which Gruber you're looking at. They're going to kind of do the same thing. They're going to get to the front. They're going to, try to not sit around and not wait on the field to come to them, regardless of the strategy call of the race. So, you see it now. Those two Gruber brothers get close again. They've only got one car separating them. Bud Steele on the bottom, great puller down there, and we'll just see what's going to happen here. But the Groovers, you always know what you've got there. They're going to work their way to the front regardless, and it looks like some other guys are doing the same right now.
Yeah, exactly right. And you're peeking around at the chat a little bit. Karen. So I'd say those first 20 laps have definitely gone by pretty quick, and now already on 33 here. Just the one fast pair, that is correct. And I say your boys have definitely been putting on a show. When they've been together, they've been really tough to pass. And when they haven't been together, whoever's been kind of the beneficiary of being in front of them or behind them has found their way to get towards the front. So say they're definitely kind of making their name zone for being a good truck to be around with that 01 and the 02. So these guys are definitely showing that they've got what it takes to help out here. The other thing we got to look at too is I'm looking at some of the overall from the beginning of the season. I looked at that 59 of Jay Hilliard in that Sunoco truck. He won the race on Sunday night with his TWA Motorsports teammates, finishing 1, 2, 3. So, and right now he's right in the thick of it once again in the top 10 there. So, hoping that maybe he can get a sweep of the Talladega weekend, or Talladega week, I should say, between Sunday and Thursday.
Yeah, looking further back in the field, I'm kind of surprised to see something. I never thought I would see Sebastian Marin and Gabe Butler ride. But they are just, biding their time. I think they're seeing a little bit of new blood up front and kind of wanting to see how this is going to shake out. But right now, Gabe Butler and Sebastian Marin riding there in the back. Those two guys were wanting to lead every lap and not take anything for granted there, not let anybody else control their destiny last year. And they're sitting back playing the safe way and just trying to let the race come to them at this point as we come close to halfway.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, also possible. I mean, they haven't seen each other probably for a little while, so maybe kind of catching up on the holidays and what each one was doing during the break. And so, like, yeah, let's do that while we're riding single file instead of going 2-3 wide, and we can kind of go after it then. But maybe sharing recipes, you never know.
Yeah, at this point they're probably texting back and forth. You know, those guys, they're seasoned veterans. They can probably race this race with their eyes closed, while everybody else is up there dicing it up. But you know, amazingly, oh wow, as to see the groovers come down from the second groove down to the first, man, the small holes that they put themselves into. But you know, they're probably just riding around and enjoying the scenery, taking the night off, and they'll go to work here in about 20 laps.
Yeah, exactly right. It's not go time yet for any of these drivers yet. Although, like you were saying, the groovers, it's been, I think, pretty much since lap 1. It's been pretty much go time for them. I'll say they've kind of taken the mantle of, hey, we want to control this race and be up front and lead as many laps as we possibly can, or be in the front as much as we can. And yeah, they've been doing that with some pretty good force.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with everybody tonight. You've got a long line on that bottom lane. You know, I really expected that once this bottom lane came in, or should I say these 2 or 3 different packs came together, I really expected you'd see a lot of dicing and a lot of work to get up to the front and some new faces up there. But right now, everybody's settling in. You know, we're probably sitting on about 5 or 6 laps to the next pit stop, and everybody's just settling in and letting the strategy and the race come to them. So, you know, getting their laps in and working their way to the finish.
Yeah, exactly right. And saying again, looking at the potential of that second green flag pit stop, we talked about being around, what was it, 23? It looks like, yeah, 21 to 22 is actually, it looks like mostly the window for this first run. So say you do the math there, and so you expect to see around 42 to 44 most likely for that second stop, and of course then from there everybody will be able to make it on one more stop at that point. Again, basically I'd say once you get to about 20 to go, that's going to be about when that window's going to open, and we'll see a lot of takers to maybe make that last pit stop once they get that just a little bit of maybe clean margin on fuel to have that green-white checker buffer.
Yeah, Gael, let me get your thoughts on this. You know, before we had 3 different packs, and they were able to get into pit road reasonably safely, but you know, at the same time, the cars were a little bit more spread apart. This time, we're going to have, you know, another 10 or 15 cars included in this pit cycle that are closer together, right on top of each other. You know, or do you think we're going to see a little bit of different strategy call just to get away from the group? You know, when the pit strategy comes up here in the next few laps.
Yeah, that's a really good question. We would see a little wiggle there from Vicente Guerrero in the 14, getting a little bit of that push there from BK Anderson, and saying that's what you'll see at times when you get that little bit of that push off center. But you're right, though. I mean, it's a great question to see. Yeah, does anybody maybe think about maybe short pitting? Actually, yep, here it goes. And I'll say not a surprise here. It's gonna be the I'm blanking on team names now. But oh man, Sebastian Marin, Gabe Butler, full send on entry there. So it's going to be Sebastian Marin, Eric Laurie, JD Crow, Gabe Butler, the Bootknocker group. That's what I was looking for. / Dale Cup. So we'll have to find out if they've got a new merged team name or not. But you're exactly right. They're going to be pitting here at 37 to go, wanting to just maybe get that little bit separation to kind of get a cleaner entry and exit, not have to stress about the big pack.
Yeah, and the guys that are pitting right now are guys that, you know, they pitted at like 21, 22, 23 laps into the race, and this time they're short pitting in a way. I mean, they may have 15 laps on there to just take the gas. So you got these 4 guys coming off the pit road right now, and they're some of the better guys in the field for sure. But I think this has to be a strategy call to avoid some of the chaos of pit road entry as we see 2 more duck off this time by.
Oh, it's that big wreck. Yeah, you see the 14 involved, the 02 going on his side there as well. And I saw one other involved as well. Couldn't tell who it was. I think it may have been...
We had a Groover in there for sure.
Yeah, no, it was the 02 Seth Groover. BK Anderson also involved. And I'm not sure the third truck. Looks like it may have been... Well, no, Mark Mount was in the pits when it happened. We'll go back. We're going to take a look. That's going to put us under our first yellow here. But, man, that was a wicked hit there for those guys. And the strategy, we just talked about those guys short pitting, that's perfect for them here because the fact that they now got their pit stop taken care of. And also those two that just pitted, like you said, during the yellow, they should have been able to have a nice and clean pit stop, not have to stress about that. I believe that was Rick Seabrands and Mark Mann, I believe, that pitted on 39. So they should also be pretty much in a good spot, as long as sometimes the iRacing cautions kind of throw things off. But let's go back and see what exactly happened to trigger this yellow, because, yeah, that was definitely a big hit there.
Yeah, it looks like the O2 of Seth Groover just got a little bit down on the apron. I'm not sure what triggered that, but it may have been a push from Patrick there. But got down on the apron, and when he bounced back up, nowhere to go. Patrick just got him in the right rear a little bit and caused some mayhem for sure.
Yeah, so we're going to take a look at it here, and I think you're right. I think it's probably just a little bit of a push through the tribal. Yeah, you can see I think it just hit maybe during the turn or just a little off-centered. And then you can see they try to kind of, you see the O2 and the O1 try to get lined up with one another, and unfortunately the O1 just hooks him. And Vicente, just nothing he could do there. He goes up and around. Yeah, it was BK Anderson the third. I mean, wow. I'm watching BK there, just literally does a barrel roll here. And then unfortunately, I think it's Todd Siebels there in the 45, just nowhere to go. He gives him an extra shot there as well. And then just to make matters worse, then also picks up the 14 as well. So probably some damage repairs is also needed for that 45, if not a fast repair. But I'm watching these guys a little further back. A really good job. That could have been a lot worse of a wreck here. We had a lot of drivers that are able to kind of just find anywhere to avoid the wreck there to get by. So do see a little bit of contact further up there. Trying to see who got into the 14. Let me try to scroll up a little bit there to see who that was involved as well. Oh, that's the 12.
You mean after Seth Groover?
yeah, after Seth Groover. Yeah, it was the 12 of James Hickson. So I'll say just a bad night gone worse for him. So that being said, we'll jump back live here. And yeah, it's exactly what we talked about. It's going to be Rick Seabrands and Mark Madden. Again, they pitted when that yellow came out, so they're going to be able to stay up at the front here. And trying to see, I'm a little surprised to see those guys that pitted at 38. I see Gabe Butler up there, but I'm looking for the other guys, and I think they opted to just go ahead and come right back on in there like Sebastian Marin and company. So maybe just adding just that little teeny bit of splash of fuel here, just maybe for good measure, because, again, still going to have one more stop to go to the end.
Yeah, the disappointing thing for the guys that were involved in that wreck, I'm looking at Seth Groover here, just bad place, wrong time. And, to make matters worse, he had to tow back around. So that's probably going to really just end his night, So we had some guys that instead of being able to take advantage of that fast repair, it was going to take so much longer to get them back around on the end of the tow truck that it's probably just going to end the night for him as a whole. But, the strategy card definitely worked out for Gabe Butler and Sebastian Marin, but a lot of these guys are probably going to want to, fuel up and really go to the green with what do we got? One more stop, two more stops, one more stop.
Yep, so. One more stop to the end. Yep, and saying we have a few that are going to go ahead and top off, including Jay Hilliard and Gabe Butler, and then Sebastian Marin, Maxwell Caldwell. Again, this doesn't really do anything for them to get them in a window to make it to the end. What it could, however, do is change how much fuel they need to go to the end. And we've got a lot of drivers now coming in. It looks like about a good 10-15 trucks here all hitting pit road. So what it could do is maybe get them in the window where they could just have to take a one can situation instead of maybe having to just take a slight bit of second can. Because, of course, when that fuel man has to kind of unplug the one and go into the second one, that really slows down pit stops. So that could be part of the strategy here.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a double-edged kind of thing. It's it'll shorten their pit stop on the next time around, but also it could give them a little bit of flexibility to strategize with who they want to pit with. If they've got somebody who's got 2 or 3 extra laps of fuel on them, they may not be able to pit with those guys, and that might be who they want to be with and who they want to partner up with to get to that last fuel run. But at this point, those guys, they want to have as many options as possible. And guys like Gabe Butler and Sebastian Marin, they know how to create those options probably better than anyone.
Yeah, exactly right. I'm trying to look to see kind of where everybody stands right now. So it looks like still 30 trucks on the lead lap. Sebastian Marin was the last truck right now, just rolling out of pit road. And there's a long pit stop for him, so I'm not sure if maybe somehow some damage involved that we didn't catch, or maybe just trying to make sure he got to the back of the field, again, just for safe measures. But then also, let's say, We talked about James Hickson being involved, so he still sits 2 down here in that 12 truck. That 12 truck definitely is still pretty hurt on that left side. And then BK Anderson still sitting in the pits. Actually, I think just maybe rolling out now, if I'm not mistaken. And I believe he's sitting at 1 lap down, so we'll have to keep an eye on him as well. But that being said, lights are off on the pace car, so we're about to get things back going here with about 33 laps to go.
Yeah, that's the tough part about these races. You plan, you strategize, you kind of set an idea of how you want the race to play out, and then the race starts and everything goes out the window. So as the pace car ducks off, we're going back green, and we've got a new group of guys up front and an old group of guys that want to get back up there. So as they come through the trial here at 65 miles an hour or so, I think the next 20 laps are going to be pretty interesting to see how this shakes out.
Yeah, exactly right. So yeah, it's going to be Rick Seabrand's Mark Man on the front row here. And so again, looks like they wait till a green flag to get going. And so far, pretty even throughout this front group. But of course, then that second group on back, there are a lot of single file with all those drivers topping off on the one to go. So they're going to need to make sure that they don't lose those trucks in front of them. Unfortunately, the 32 BK Anderson, he is on track here, but he's nowhere near the field. So he's going to be running on his own right now. Again, I'm going to double check to see where he is on the lap side of things. I believe may just be 1 down. Yeah, just 1 lap down for the 32. Also the only truck 1 lap down. So at this point, he's probably going to have to be banking on the yellow probably within the next, I would say, 10, maybe 15 laps, or else that'll wind up putting him 2 down.
Yeah, at this point, he's a sure bet for the lucky dog, but that won't last very long. But what I'm looking at is these guys like Sebastian Marin and Gabe Butler. I know I mentioned their names a lot, but we're kind of coming down to that part of the race where they can't ride anymore. Sebastian pitted there with that last pit stop, and JD Crow right in front of him. These guys, they're gonna have to start making their way to the front. But are they banking on one more wreck, or are they to put it in 4th gear and get there to the front?
Yeah, exactly right. So we'll have to definitely keep an eye on them and see kind of what they're going to do. It might be another situation where maybe this might be hey, we're going to save fuel with that top off. We're just going to keep saving fuel and then pit once we're in our window, do that short pit strategy, and then see if we can maybe that'll leapfrog us to the front of these guys. So yeah, definitely have to keep an eye on them to see what the strategy is going to be there. Because right now, still looks like they're kind of staying pretty calm here. Looking for the 1 truck, he's still sitting in about 19th, just kind of off on his own. He's got Maxwell Caldwell behind him, and then Ryan Kelly in front. So I'd say a pretty good place to be with some drivers you know he can trust. But at some point he's going to want to probably start dropping the hammer, but it seems like just isn't at this point as of yet. And yeah, looks like Sebastian Marin, yeah, he's just cruising in the back here, just in a comfortable spot. And actually, who's that just dropped down there? Oh, it's the 01 truck, Patrick Gruber. He's dropping all the way to the apron here. Again, though, he needs to safely find a place to find an opening. I think he just found it here if he hops in front of the 1 truck. But again, this is where you have to be careful, because you can see Gabe, he's going to react. You just got to be careful about that accordion effect.
Yeah, I watched him do that, and Maxwell. Maxwell Caldwell dropped down to the apron. But we've got a challenge for the lead. The 4-car, going to the outside, not content to ride. What do we got? Scott Ferguson there. So that second lane, the front is kind of chopped up right now, worse than I think I've seen it all night. But it's starting to get dicey, and we got a truck turn.
Yeah, this is going to be the big one for sure here. You see a lot of trucks caught up in this one. You can see they're still piling into it. So it's going to be another one of those who isn't involved at this point. So we'll try to kind of catch who all was caught up in. We're obviously see Mark Mann, one of those. I think Gabe Butler, I think, looks like he may, I think he's got a piece of it as well in the 1 truck, or actually may have come to a stop to avoid it. I see Bob Fitzgerald's caught up in that one as well. I think Robert Dupont, yeah, he's got some nose damage. So yeah, big incident there. That may have been perfect for Sebastian Marin just cruising in the back there. But yeah, I say a lot of trucks involved in this one. So we talked about the 1 driver who's very happy to see that, though, is BK Anderson. He's well behind it. He's going to now get the wave around, get back onto the lead lap here. So I'll say a bad situation being caught up in that previous wreck. Now this kind of puts him right back into the thick of it.
Yeah, it looked like a couple people just a victim of circumstance there. Scott Ferguson got the run around the outside, and when he dropped back down to the bottom lane, the 83 truck of Jack Walls, had a little bit of momentum, and Keith Horner just a bump at the wrong place, wrong time. Nothing anyone could do, and no way of knowing that he was doing the wrong thing at the time either. But just turned Jack up into the upper line and calls the big one there. A lot of cars damaged there, and gonna take some repairs to sort this thing back out.
Yeah, so we're gonna back it up here a little bit and take one more look there. And yeah, you're right. I already see the 37 and the 83 kind of pretty close together there. So we'll pick it up here, and saying you can just see just a little bit off center, but then right there you see Jack kind of get a little bit pushed down. And I think at that point they just were continued to hook onto each other. And unfortunately, so you see Jack, he gets into Nick DeGroot there, the 76 of Rick Seabrands. And then from there, I mean, the track's just going to be pretty much completely clogged here. You see the 43 gets a small piece. I think Jack actually gets away with it. It's better than I ever would have expected it there. Michael Spell gets a little piece, but then again, we keep watching as we go further on back. And it's just, yeah, you're just going to continue to see trucks getting collected in this one. So you're trying to see, Robert Dupont. I think Ryan Kelly at this point may be sneaking by this one. Not sure if he made earlier contact. But I mean, look at Sebastian Marin, just comes to a complete stop here in that 23 truck. I think gets away with it. So great heads up by him, great brakes. I mean, you see a parking lot down in that infield. So yeah, really good job by these drivers to try to get through that as best they can. So we'll jump back live here though, because again, it's still got a few drivers pitting, some staying out. So we'll do this here while we're under yellow. Say kind of a quick yellow. We'll step away for just a moment, and then we'll get back here to go on the one to go. All right, lights are off on the pace car, and made some adjustments. Hopefully it helps clear things up a little bit. Again, apologies. I'm going to be definitely diving into it after the race and see why we're having troubles here. But yeah, so we've got lights off here, 1 to go, and we're still right outside that window, Brandon. We're going to restart this with 26 to go. If these were the Xfinity trucks, or Xfinity cars, I should say, they'd be happy. They'd be like, okay, we can make it to the end from here, most likely. These trucks, though, they're going to be probably about, I'd say, 4 laps short, maybe 3 laps short. And I don't think this is a number anybody can save if it goes green. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of what the strategy is going to be for some of these drivers. Do we see some really aggressive short pit strategies? Do we see some drivers try to play it out to the end? This is going to kind of open up some strategy calls for these drivers.
Yeah, if it were me, I think I would, run it into the, as far into the fuel run as you can. But at the same time, as we go green here, you don't want it to be a situation where you're pitting on the last lap or with 2 to go, because then it's all pit strategy. But at this point, with before we had this last caution, I think we had the field kind of getting ready to really just see what was going to happen, waiting things out until the last set of pit stops. But that's all out the window now. I don't think anybody's going to wait anymore. And we see the 23 of Sebastian Marin and the 1 of Gabe Butler. Hey, they're coming to the front, guys. So everybody else can get ready because competition's here now.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, it's only a matter of time now until someone's gonna start making some big moves. I mean, you look at Gabe Butler again. I mean, he pretty much put the brakes on that truck to avoid that wreck, and you see he's right up there right now right around the top 10 with Sebastian Marin now tucked in right behind. A big wiggle there from that 46 truck.
Yeah, that 46 truck was caught up in the last accident, so I'm not sure if he was able to just clear it through regular pits or if he had to take that the fast repair. But that 46 truck, if he took that fast repair, is going to not want to be involved in the next accident.
Yeah, exactly. I see Keith Horner hitting pit road. I believe that's not a scheduled stop, most likely a penalty there.
We are four wide.
Yeah.
The run by the 89.
Oh, contact. And still at the moment, green. I think now yellow's going to have to come out. I don't know what's going on here, but somehow yellow still, from what I'm showing, has not yet come out. So hopefully, I would assume this is where an admin yellow is going to get thrown, but at this point, I'm not showing a caution on my side here. So some very, very questionable iRacing timing and scoring again. Hopefully, an admin's able to kind of get involved here and throw one, but at this point, these guys are going to keep racing as if it's under green because it's the drivers. I mean, it's out of their control. So very, very odd situation there, and this has really jumbled the field up here. And there's the caution. Okay, not sure, that may have been an admin thrown one. If it was, I think that's definitely by far the correct call there. So we do get the yellow out now. But man, yeah, it was like I said, 4 wide, and I think it was just where Nick DeGroot was just about cleared, or it was just cleared. But I think behind him is where it didn't quite finish off the rest of the way. So let's go back and we'll take a look at that incident one more time. And then yeah, so say that puts us back under yellow here.
Yeah, it looked like the 5 car of JD Crow and the 9 of William George, 4 wide. It's tough to park cars 4 wide on this track, much less drive them. The run that Nick DeGroot had coming on the high side there just had an amazing push from the 5, and then just ran out of real estate there at the end as they came to the corner. The 9 kind of moved up, the 5 kind of moved down. Kind of a racing incident, but just bad luck overall. But man, the run that 89 car had was pretty impressive.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think. I'm trying to look at where he is in timing and scoring as well. That may have been a move to try to get him back on the lead lap. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, you can see it was so close for that 5 truck if he wasn't clear. And you say just that slight contact between the 5 and the 09, that puts him across the nose of the 4 truck, Jack Walls, probably feeling like, man, I just can't buy a break here. And then behind him, I say, is just kind of all bets are off. And I say we were talking about some of the trucks being able to avoid that previous wreck, like Gabe Butler and the 23 truck. We'll see. I don't know if they were as lucky this time. So far, you see they're able to tuck down to the inside. And actually, they may be getting away with this one again. So We'll kind of keep an eye on them as they continue on. You see the 88 of Michael Spell, Eric Laurie also getting a piece in front of them. But just, yeah, unfortunately, more incidents here with these guys. We'll speed it up a little bit. Oh, you see Gabe has to jump to the grass to avoid his teammate there. And we got other trucks just coming straight to a stop, so great heads up by those guys as well. So we'll jump back live here because we do now have a lot of drivers in the pits. And I think the only driver that did not pit is going to be the 43 of Jason Adams. He's going to stay out here. He's going to get a lap led in that 43 truck. I actually don't think we've talked any about him tonight, so glad he did stay out to be able to get a little bit of TV time here. Also, I have to really, again, thank him for his time on Tuesday night, helping me out on the Indy Series, helping me broadcast. So this caution now, though, Brandon, I'd say this is in the window. These guys that pitted, they should be good to go to the end, and I think we're going to see a lot of topping off here.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. Right now, the lights on the pace car are not out, of course, and so they've got another lap or two of caution. I really wouldn't be surprised to see the whole field come down and top off here in the next lap or so, just to make sure they've got enough, because they're right there on the edge. I don't think you're going to see anybody really holding back here over the next 22 laps. I think you're going to see everyone kind of giving it all they've got, and not really worrying about what anyone else is doing at that point. Yeah, a lot of strategy still to play, but a little bit less than there was 5 or 6 laps ago. So as these cars come back down through the tri-oval, not seeing a lot of cars drop off yet, so I think they'll probably wait until the next time by. But I think you'll see everybody top off coming around next time, and just being sure that they've got enough to get to the finish, and also getting those spoilers down out of the air as much as they can.
Yeah, exactly right. And yeah, I'm watching Nick DeGroot here as he hits pit road in that 89 truck, and yeah, I believe what may have happened for Nick there is I think he may have been at least 1 lap down, maybe even 2. So I think what happened there is that may have put him now back to just the 1 lap down in the 89 truck, because there are a few trucks in front of him that were also a lap or more down. So we'll let the timing and scoring update there. And yeah, you can see right there the 37 of Keith Horner, who's actually somehow in the craziness of all of this, we'll see. Actually, I think now he's starting to have to let trucks by. It looked like for a second he was going to restart in about 2nd position. But it's going to be Keith Horner, Dustin Lamb in that 91 truck, as well as Nick DeGroot. I think those are going to be the 3 drivers that are going to be trying to vie for that lucky dog position. But I believe it's Dustin Lamb who got the wave around, if I'm not mistaken, because it looks like he's having a drop to the back. So trying to figure out who exactly benefited where, say, with all the craziness. But what we do know here is we're going to restart with 21 to go. And at this point, I'm going to say probably all bets are about off here.
Yeah, I think any partnerships that you had 2 minutes ago are out the window at this point. So we've still got some guys in the back that are that have been up front tonight and are going to try their best to work their way back up. We've got some guys in the front that haven't been there tonight, and they're going to try their best to maintain. And then we got some guys that running mid-pack, that are used to being there. They just haven't quite gotten there yet. So a lot of movers and shakers and a lot of coming and going. But, as we come into NASCAR 3, coming back to the green, NASCAR 3, listen to me. I still think we've got a lot of action left in this race.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, right now, again, still pretty much almost a full fuel run to the end. So, some of these guys are probably going to be racing as if they're going to the checkered here. I think at this point they're probably going to have to start thinking about, again, long term. If I'm in this lead pack group and I'm kind of in a decent spot here, I save fuel. I think you save as much as you can in case we don't get that late race yellow or another yellow to kind of either force overtime or just allow drivers to save fuel. Just get every drop you can until you get to maybe that 10 to go, somewhere like that, and then you start to kind of position yourself. But we'll see, though. Say it's going to be Jason Adams on the inside. You've got Todd Siebels on the outside. Say these guys 30 and 31 positions gained from the start of the race, so these guys are definitely kind of been biding their time and now are kind of trying to see if they can jockey themselves in that position. So green flag is out. We are back underway with a 43 and 13 on that inside row, and so far it looks like they're locked on pretty well together here.
Yeah, getting dicey already. It looks like some, I don't know if that was some potential moves or a little bit of an odd push, but some cars kind of jumping lanes there. But as they shake out, they're still too wide, about 10 or 15 rows back. Anybody that's in this group can still win this race at this point. We've had some guys that were up front, had some damage, and they're working their way back, and we're already going 3 wide as we come back down the back straightaway. Going to get intense super fast.
Yeah, Todd Siebel's probably thinking, what did I do wrong here? As the 09 there, William George, he just tucked around him the outside, and he's going to drop back in front now as he got that push he needed from the Ford truck of Scott Ferguson. And say now that leaves Scott in a really vulnerable position on that third line, just able to find a spot in front of that 46 truck. But now it's going to be Bud Steele. He found an opening. He's going to jump to the top and say the same thing. Bud Steele, he's one of those drivers that likes to bide his time, and then when it's time to go, he goes for it. And he decided that, I think that watch started to click. He's like, all right, I think it's time to start to kind of make my name known here as well, as he takes the point and gets that last lap led.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting between the fuel strategy of when we had to pit on that last one. Some of the guys that were involved in that last wreck were able to get up there and lead this race. The number 9 of William George right now was involved in the last wreck. Actually, one of the 2 cars that brought it all together. Of really no fault of his own, but he's back out there leading the race already. So, so many options for ways to get there. But at this point, it is anybody's guess who's going to be there at the end.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm even looking a little further back at Eric Laurie in that 071 truck. He's got substantial right front damage still on that truck. Not sure if he's a fast repair remaining. Also pretty good rear damage too. And I think even though he's got teammates behind him, I think they're probably going to have to abandon ship on him pretty soon. I don't know if he's going to be able to hold that draft or not. So I'll say you can see Sebastian's trying to play a good teammate with him right here, but at some point you start to get just a little far enough off the group, and you just like, I don't want to ruin my race either. So we'll have to keep an eye and see that interval, how it looks. But right now, I talked about Scott Ferguson kind of being left out on that top side. And I say somehow between that last lap or two to now, he's found his way to lead again on the bottom.
Yeah, no waiting around at this point. Part of the good thing about some of the guys that led a lot of laps last year not being up front and having a little bit of an issue is it brings some faces to the front that you don't get to see very often. So watching the Ford truck there of Scott Ferguson get up there and lead some laps in the 9 car of William George, it's kind of some fresh faces up here that we don't always get to see, but it also changes the strategy a little bit of how these guys drive and how others can push them.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Like I said, it's kind of one of those things where you find who you're going to work with, and again, it might not be planned, it's just out of necessity. And so I doubt in the pre-race, I doubt the 9 and the 45 said, hey, let's work together. It's just like, well, he's around me, he's helping me, I'll help him, and we'll see what happens if we get to the white flag, and then all bets will be off. But there's a lot of that going on right now. I mean, you see the 13 of Ryan Kelly, he's starting to poke his head into this mix as well. And then even Jack Wallace, he was just in that last wreck, and saying he's right back into this as well in that 83 truck. So right now just on the edge of the top 10 right now. So it's like you said, it's pretty much anybody's guess right now. I mean, I would say you probably realistically have about 25 trucks right now that look like they're in a spot where they could win this race if it continues as it is at the moment.
Yeah, I've definitely got my eye on a few different guys. Bud Steele in the 6 car, Patrick Groover there in the 01. Those are guys who have made their way to the front a couple times tonight, but I don't think we're coming to 17 or 18 to go. I don't think that it's all played out yet, and as much as these guys are jockeying around, I see Gabe Butler probably able to give a little bit of room and a little bit of extra position there as well. I think some of these guys may still have a little bit of action left in them, and that might not be a good thing.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of movement in that third lane. I think the TJ Chummy Esports group are trying to get hooked up on that third line together. Say the 45 of Todd Siebels, he's trying to be part of that group. As well as I say, the contact in the back there, and we got another yellow here. Multiple trucks involved. Eric Laurie got a piece as well. He got one going way quick backwards there. I think that was the 95 of TJ Allen, and that truck just sailed off backwards back into the outside wall across the track. So it's going to be another yellow here. I say trying to see who all involved. You see Eric Laurie, Chummy Miller also in there. Jack Walls, we're just talking about him. Looks like he gets another piece of it, and this might be maybe it for him, unfortunately, on the damage side of things. as a few of these drivers trying to get back up to speed. We'll go back and look once more. As it was kind of in the middle of that lead pack, but man, when it happened, it went off in a quick way.
Yeah, I think somebody's going to have to reach into Sebastian Marin's car and maybe give him a new pair of pants. The way the 95 of TJ Allen came back across the track there, I think that Sebastian was either going to be a victim or just plain lucky to avoid that one. So, man, really dodged a bullet there.
Yeah, and it looks like actually the 95 may have just caught the wall a little bit and send them straight to the inside. You see, he catches the 14 of Vicente Guerrero. BK Anderson yet again gets caught up in this one as well. We talked about Jack Walls. But then, yeah, like you said, though, it's right here. You see this 95 truck just full speed backwards here. So I obviously don't have a speedometer on this thing. We're running slow-mo here, but he was sending it backwards here. And, yeah, look at, man, you're right, though. Say, well, we'll do one more look here from Sebastian Marin at full time. Amazingly, nobody else catches a piece of that 95 truck, as you see Robert Rock just able to squeak by the outside as well. So let's back it up one more time here. We're going to watch from Sebastian Marin's point of view, because you're right there. I mean, you don't see a ton in front of these trucks. So I'll say we'll start off from where it kicked off here on board this number 23 truck, and we'll go at speed, and we'll see what Sebastian saw here. Yeah, you see that quick last jerk there of not expecting to see a truck slide up like that at the very end of it. So somehow actually gets through that unscathed. I say at this point, fuel numbers and all that, they're out the window. There's no question now. Everybody's good to go to the end. Got a little bit of mixed bag of strategy of drivers that decided maybe take that little bit of splash as well, just in case of a green white checkered. Others opting for the track position. One of those being Patrick Groover here, along with Robert DuPont. It looks like Todd Siebel. So going to be a bit of a mixed bag. I'm a little nervous about Robert DuPont because that truck is battered. It looks like a Martinsville truck more than a Talladega truck. So you see a 37, though. He's going to get the wave round of Keith Horner. Should put him back onto the lead lap. However, unfortunately, numerous trucks a lap or more down. Like we mentioned, Nick DeGroot, the 91 truck of Dustin Lamb. Looks like Chummy Miller, Eric Laurie, Jack Walls also all trapped a lap down. So looks like about 24 now trucks remaining on the lead lap here. So yeah, so once again, say with that quick yell, we'll step away for just a moment, and then we'll get back here once we get to that one to go. We'll be restarting this race with about 12 to go. All right, so caution is, like I said, out. We got one to go here. And once again, though, here, Brandon, the field is very, very jumbled up. Going to restart this one with 12 to go. At this point, I'm going to say pretty much everybody's good to go to the end. The question is, of course, if we get into green-white checker territory, how good they will be then. The drivers that are easily good no matter what, it's going to start off with pretty much Scott Ferguson on back here. So from 11th to about 24th, if I remember correctly, for drivers on the lead lap. They should be good to go to the end on fuel. So the question will be, of course, if this is finishes under regulation, or if we get those overtimes, that's going to be the question mark.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an unknown for the time being. I think if we have one overtime, then most of the field's going to be in pretty good shape. If we come down and we get 2 or 3, though, it could be a different story altogether. The interesting thing I'm noticing here as we come to green here with 13 laps to go, 12, 13 laps to go, is I was listening to some of the radio. Some of the drivers were asking for EOLs to kind of get out of the mix. So I think some of these guys are a little bit worried as as the pace car drops off. What's going to happen over the next few laps?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Yeah, I mean, as I say, again, my biggest concern right now is actually that front row, that 07 Robert DuPont. That truck is not in the best of shape. So, I mean, the hope is that he has enough power to at least get to the start-finish line without any trouble here. But you can see already he's dropped back a little bit in front of that 7 of Dale Willoughby. And you see Dale wasting no time there, tries to get in there. And, yeah, that was a very tight squeeze for both those trucks there. But I think we're going to see pretty quick order. Yeah, there goes Dale. I was going to say, I think he's going to have to jump to the tops. I don't think that 07 is going to have what he needs to hold the front. Honestly, may have been in his best interest to spend a lot of time there getting damages repaired to that 07 truck. So we'll see. Maybe when he gets up to speed, he'll still be okay. But right now, the shuffling has begun.
Yeah, it's back and forth. No one knows who they want to work with, but I think the common goal right now is to get around the 07. A little bit of confusion there coming to the start. I think people were changing lanes and weren't making solid decisions on it. They were a little bit back and forth there, but it's already 3 wide. You know, the 7's keeping the 07 is keeping up. So I think he's going to be fine as long as he's in a pack, as long as he's not leading. But we've got a car off in the grass in the infield.
Oh yeah, you're right. I think that was the Jimmy Reynolds there. Yeah, he did a little bit of off-roading here. Should be able to swing on track. You see he's trying to wait until it's safe and he's going to be able to hop on. Unfortunately, that's going to looks like possibly drop him out of that draft here as we do that. But man, while we were watching that, I don't know where Sebastian Marin came from, but like we talked about that watch kind of saying it's time to go. Apparently it's time to go for Sebastian Marin. He finds himself now in the lead. Well, I should say in the lead for the moment. And now here comes Rick Seabrand's Mark Mann. We saw them a little earlier on the front row in a restart. They're going to work back together here and see if they can shove themselves back to the front once more.
Yeah, beyond that, too, I think something that we need to look back on is the 01 of Gabe Butler has a little bit of damage that he did not have coming to the green. So I don't know if there was just a major checkup or what. I saw him drop to the inside coming down the back straightaway last time by, but he's got some damage that he was not riding with a few laps ago.
Yeah, that nose is not looking very happy on that one truck. So you see, he might be in a similar situation as that 07 truck. Having to just try to see if he can just stay in the draft, but may not be a leading truck now anymore. But we are seeing, as we're at 10 to go here, is that movement starting to pick up a little more. You see that more side to side, a little bit side draft. I can say that there's another contact. Oh, big wreck here down the backstretch, the 45, the 7, up and around. And more. Oh, another couple hits here, the 01, the 09. And honestly, that just looked like a truck not realizing he was not clear there. And it's going to cause yet another big wreck here. You see, oh, great avoidance by Robert Rock sneaking around the 09 truck there. But yeah, it's going to bring out one more yellow here, unfortunately. And again, it looks like taking out a number of trucks here. You see the 37. Todd Steele's decided, I'm just going to keep this thing in reverse, keep my momentum going towards the pit road here. I say, well, we'll see how far he can make in that 45 truck. And I think, honestly, this might be a little bit of frustration for that 45. It's not worth looping it around to try to point in the right direction. I think it's going to get a little bit of help here, too. Motor might be done, so might be getting some teamwork here to try to get him into the pits.
Yeah, these guys are going to work together. Yeah, unfortunately, that's actually the second time we've seen that tonight, where the 9 car moved one way or the other. I think the first time it was just a victim of being 4 wide and really just the window was closed. But that time, looked like the 9 car of William George just moved down and didn't realize that Patrick Groover was down there and they were already 3 wide. So knocked off a big wreck there. But man, the strategy that everybody had a few minutes ago, out the window again. So we rack them and re-roll them, I guess.
Yeah, as I'm looking and saying, the only thing I can think of is it looked like, yeah, it's a tough spot to say for sure. Obviously, the one that got the worst of that though, man, Todd Siebel's, Dale Willoughby, those two went for a ride there, and Bud Steele, I believe that is in the middle of that too, that kind of went under those trucks there, just nowhere for him to go either. I'm watching Robert Rock here. I think, does he get a piece of this or does he part the middle? Oh my goodness. We might have to watch this from Robert Rock's point of view because I think he may have the hands of the race there. We were talking about the 23 earlier, Sebastian Marin. I think that 171 may have just topped it there. So we'll go back. We'll watch that one more time from Robert's point of view. But yeah, the only thing I can think of is maybe a little bit of a push that kind of pushed the 9, started to work his way down a little bit. But either way, though, unfortunately, just a bad situation all around. So we're going to do one more on board here, this time with Robert Rock here, and we'll do it once more at speed. Watch how close this was. Yes, he thinks he's clear there, not has to then avoid another truck at the very end of it. Looked like he maybe caught a slight piece on the left front there, but honestly could have been way, way worse than that. So probably got away with one there. So as I said, I unfortunately see the 45 in pit road. And saying, yeah, for those that went ahead and stayed out there, I think they're going to be all right here. I think it's going to work out for them because now this caution is going to easily, I think, put pretty much everybody in the pit window. I think at this point here, Brandon, it's just going to be pretty much an attrition run.
Yeah, it definitely is, and we got to give Robert Rock the good hands of the race there. He's got to at least be in the contention for it. But yeah, we've got a lot of attrition here, but no telling what's going to happen at this point. Everybody's going to be, just all focused on the same thing. We may see a couple more accidents. We've got 3 green white checkers that we can use here, so no telling what's going to happen. But I think you're going to see a little bit more of the same, where everybody's just go and worry about the consequences later.
Yeah, it kind of does have that feel. And again, trying to see for the drivers that may have been able to benefit from that. It looks like Nick DeGroot, the 89, I believe he gets the lucky dog there. So put the 89 truck back onto the lead lap. I believe that gives us now 20 trucks on the lead lap. And so, yeah, again, with 8 to go right now, going to probably restart with, I'm assuming, about 7 to go if my math is right. Or, sorry, 6 to go if my math is right. And the other thing is, too, Gabe Butler, we're talking about that nose damage. He decided, you know what? I want the track position more than I want to worry about the damage. He stays out with that little bit of a crumpled nose. So, yeah, I say it was clean and green early, but I say we've had now 5 cautions kind of in maybe the second half of this race. So we'll see what we got for the remaining 6 laps here.
Yeah, I notice he stays out, but I also notice he's driving up until now, driving on the apron. So typically that's a move drivers will take if they're worried about their fuel mileage and worried about making it to the end. So I'm not sure when he last pitted and what that all looks like. I would think he'd be fine. Maybe he's just being overly cautious. But, maybe he does have a little bit of a fuel concern there if we do have another green-white checkered or two.
Yeah, that's very possible. He definitely is one to often also just go full fuel save as well and just make sure he gets every ounce of fuel out of that one truck. So might just be one of those things, just play it safe just for the sake of it. Or who knows, maybe just making sure he's got enough fuel to try to do some donuts at the end of this race. Because say this might be one of those ones where post-race some drivers probably try to blow off a little bit of steam, because I think there's going to be probably a handful of drivers that probably aren't going to be in the best of moods after tonight.
Yeah, we went just a little bit past halfway before we had our first caution, which I think was probably a surprise to a lot of these guys. I think a lot of people were playing the strategy of an early caution, and it just didn't shake out that way. But man, when the caution started, they just didn't stop. So I think it's a mixture of some challenging conditions, maybe a couple new faces up front, but more than anything, just we gotta gotta line it up and get the race running with letting, oh man, I don't even know how to say it, just without getting together and give a little bit more room here. But coming down to 5 to go, 6 to go, I don't think that's going to happen. So we'll see what's going to happen here. But we got some fast guys up front. Anything at this point can happen.
Yeah, that you are correct. So again, front row this time is going to be Rick Sebrand, Sebastian Marin on the front row. And then you've got Mark Mann, Gabe Butler in row 2. So the danger for that inside line is the fact that you got the 23 and the 1 together, and we know how potent those two are together. The question mark is going to be the nose damage on that one truck. But again, I mean, I'm looking at the 13, the 94, Maxwell Caldwell, Ryan Kelly. They are right together, and they love working together. And so we'll see if they can get the opportunity to do that as well as we get back to green here with 6 to go.
Yeah, I wouldn't leave out the 59 there of Jay Hilliard either. He hasn't been leading any laps tonight, but he's been right there, just where he needs to be. So, that top line, those 2 or 3 guys, they know how to line it up, they know how to push and make this thing happen. And right now, they're all nose to nose, and there's no clear winner at this point.
Yeah, and that's a great point too. The 59 truck, Jay Hilliard. He won the opener on Sunday night at Talladega as well. So, he knows he's been in contention. He's been in position. He was able to put it all together just a few days ago. So, you see a little wiggle from Sebastian Marin. The bumping is getting all that little bit more and more aggressive here. As you can see, the nose of the 23 is cleared of the 76, but I do not suspect you'll see those two leave one another until they have an opportunity to both clear that inside line.
Yeah, it's kind of wow, they made that move work, but it's kind of a strategy on Sebastian's part. They've worked so well together all night, but at this point, I don't know that Gabe has the truck to make it work and be a leader of the line. I say that as he takes the lead and really gets a good run. It'll be interesting to see over the next few laps if the first or second place guy, and every time I say something, it's like washing your car, it's going to rain. I don't think his nose is good enough to really lead this race right now. So anybody who gets behind him is going to be at a little bit of a disadvantage just because of, they're pushing a little bit of a damaged truck.
Yeah, I'm thinking the exact same thing. And the question mark, of course, is how many of the drivers have they been able to see that? Can they see that in their mirrors? Because let's say what we can see and what they can see is always a little bit different. So I think right now a lot of it too is just Rick Sebrand, for instance, say, hey, I don't want to be pushing anybody. I want to be leading this group. And again, say he's trying to work that middle lane, and he's got a great pusher behind him of Sebastian Marin. We got 4 to go. And I think it's only a matter of time. We're going to see that third lane form. The question is when is a little bobble there side to side between the 57 there. But it looks like everybody's going to hold on, still pointing the right direction.
Yeah, I really think that this just goes to show you how good Gabe Butler is. He's got a little bit of damage. He's got a great pusher behind him, but he's just working that side draft and really, keeping it out there. Probably the smoothest hands on track right now, and making it happen. So the 76 has not been able to get a clear advantage, and the 23 of Sebastian Marin is pushing him for all he's worth. So it looks like we're getting ready to see a third lane come up here very soon.
Yeah, this is, I think, the perfect storm for that third lane to happen and happen very efficiently. Because when you've got that second lane, or the first lane, I should say, like I said, possibly a little bit compromised, it's going to slow that second group a little bit down. Well, I feel like it should slow that second group a little bit down as well. But honestly, though, the second group hasn't been pushing as far forward as I thought they would. And here comes that third lane of Patrick Gruber. He's got help from Bud Steele working that third line there. And let's say they are now 3x3 all lined up together, row 1 and 2. And then just a little bit behind there trying to check who that third truck is there. Oh, that's going to be the 89 there of Nick DeGroot. He's trying to join the mix as well. He's got a couple of those. It's like TJ Allen, Dustin Lamb behind him. So it's going to be about a 4 or 5 truck line here, 3x3 here, so we're going to get 2 to go.
Yeah, we've seen Patrick Gruber and Bud Steele be able to make it work just by side drafting and being in position. And wow, what a move by Sebastian Marin to the inside. I don't think Sebastian's waiting around either. But back to it, we've seen Bud Steele and Patrick Gruber make it work by side drafting and being able to really work the other cars around them tonight. So I still think even with Sebastian making that major move to the inside, that you're going to see this third lane kind of get a little bit momentum here at the closing laps.
Yeah, exactly right. I say really the question mark now is, which lane gets the push at the right time. And honestly, before we get to that, though, is going to be, can we get to that white flag before we see any contact and possibly a late yellow? Because if we can get to that white flag before anything happens, at that point, all bets are off. It's who gets to the finish line first. And it looks like we're going to get there. So this will finish under regulation. We got one to go here at the line that time. It was Rick Seabrands by just a nose over that 23 truck. But right now, it's anybody's guess. I'd say it looks likely between the 23, the 76, and the 01. We'll see as they come out of turn 2.
Yeah, right now, no one is pushing harder than the 59s of the 59 of Jay Hilliard. And you've got 3 trucks right now that could easily win this, as we have a little bit of a bobble in the middle line. Watching Patrick Gruber getting ready to make the top to bottom, but God, they come through turn 3 and 4. You never know who's going to win this, but we've got a race coming down onto the front straightaway.
Yeah, Patrick Gruber was able to get to the bottom. Bud Steele tried to follow, could not do it. And so it's going to be right now, looks like a drag race between the 01 and 23. A little bobble with the 01 trying to get all the push he can. But as they come across the line, it's going to be all about the momentum. And Patrick Gruber is going to get the win here. Able to hold off Sebastian Marin by about 0.02 of a second. Bud Steele looks like he's going to grab our 3rd position. Then Rick Seabrands, Gabe Butler going to be our top 5. And we mentioned that IndyCar specialist Nick DeGroot. He's going to bring it home in that 6th spot.
What a finish. We knew that it was going to come down to the wire. We knew that anyone could win it. And we had seen Patrick, show flashes all night long. He was a great pusher, but they're, leading. I'm not sure that he led a single lap until the very end, leading when it counted. I was a little bit worried as he came to the line that he was going to worry too much about who was behind him and blocking the third line's groove, but he made the right decision, it looks like, and got across the line first.
Yeah, exactly right. So I made the right call. You can see, like I mentioned, everybody probably blowing off some steam at the end of this race, and I think we're seeing a lot of it there. As you see, pretty much everybody's going to celebrate, and honestly, it might just be the fact that they were able to get to the finish line, but it's going to be Patrick Gruber getting that win here tonight. Unfortunately, lost his brother in the wrecks, but he's going to get the win here tonight. He's going to celebrate, just maybe kiss the wall there, pull a Chad Knaus and crack the back a little bit to make sure it passes post-race tech. By saying, like I said, Sebastian Marin, I think he's going to be pretty happy based on what we're seeing from that 2nd place. But I think it might be more of a, hey, I survived this one.
Yeah, he's. I think there are about 25 guys that are just happy to be there at the end. So, great race by Patrick. It just goes to show you can run 70, good laps. Have a little bit of a mix-up in the middle there, and just be in the right place. Just put yourself where you need to be for the final 4 or 5 laps and make it happen. The strategy played out for him. But more than that, just refusing to lose is really what that one looked like.
Yeah, exactly right. So we'll pull up the results before we pull up our interviews, and it is Patrick Gruber with the win by 17 thousandths of a second over Sebastian Marin. And then, man, that 3rd place position, Bud Steele, Rick Seabrands, 0.06 of a second to 61 thousandths of a second to 60 to 61 thousandths of a second. Bud Steele able to get around that 76 truck to get that 3rd spot. And I say Bud loves to get interviewed, so I say that he was doing everything he could. He probably pulled a car's move and stuck his tongue out to make sure he got in front of that 76 truck at the line. And then Gabe Butler, even with the damage, still finds a way to pull off his top 5. And then another thousandth difference there between Jay Hilliard and Nick DeGroot, 120 to 121 there. So they may not be for the wins, but very tight finishes for some of those drivers there. Then you got Mark Mann, TJ Allen, Maxwell Caldwell rounding out our top 10. We continue on down there. You got Robert Rock, Dean Wilkinson, Ryan Kelly, William George, Vicente Guerrero, Derek Gilray, Jason Adams, and Robert DuPont in 18th. So unfortunately, some of these other drivers, not the nights they were looking for this evening. You got Jimmy Reynolds in 19th, JD Crow in 20th, and then drivers a lap or more down, including Dustin Lamb, BK Anderson, Bob Fitzgerald, James Hickson, Chummy Miller, Eric Laurie, Jack Walls, Todd Siebels, Scott Ferguson, Dale Willoughby, Keith Horner, Michael Spell, and Seth Groover, our 33rd finisher, unfortunately tonight. So unfortunately, the Groovers kind of bookend the field here tonight, Brandon, first and last. But I'm sure though we'll have to find out when we talk to Patrick. But I have a feeling Seth probably was still around helping him out to maybe hopefully do a little bit of crew chiefing there at the very end.
Yeah, I think I was looking at a stat here while you were looking and doing the rundown there. I think this is really a tell of the race. Most everybody had an incident point tonight, and the winner had 10. So, it was not a clean race. It wasn't a pretty race, but, sometimes just working the strategy, being where you need to, taking advantage of that one fast repair at just the right time. It works out. So, Patrick Groover didn't have to run a clean race. He was a victim of circumstance for a little bit here, got caught up in some things, but was still able to put the car in the right place at the end and drive the car to the finish line.
Yep, exactly right. And so, yeah, so we're going to kick things off and say, like I said, I mean, pretty much everybody was involved in something at some point in this race. Say Bud Steele, definitely one of those that was in that same boat as well, but started in fifth, finished in third, but it was obviously anything but an easy one there from the front of the field here, Bud. I mean, just take us through. I mean, because we saw you and Patrick there on the last run there. Say you just got to the back of him, that third lane. You guys made it work there. And then say it obviously he saw the opening to go from the top to the middle, and say unfortunately just not quite enough room for you to try to tag onto the bottom there to follow through, but able to still keep your momentum up and find a way to grab that third position. I mean, just take us through the charge coming to the finish there to find a way to get yourselves up there and have a chance of that win.
Well, I think on that last restart, I start 14th, 15th, something like that, and um, I was looking for the guys that like to go up top, and luckily, when I finally got up to Patrick, he pulled out once. I had a big run on top, and he pulled out and kind of stalled my momentum, and I just told him he was a little too late that time. So when we got back around next time, I was on him, and he made the move, and we had the momentum, and I'm surprised nobody else jumped up there in front of us, quite honestly. But that's fine with me. Uh, Good job, Patrick.
Yeah, so it definitely wound up working there for you. And yeah, so we see right there as he kind of cuts to the inside. But yeah, I mean, like I said, to be able to make that third lane go and be able to kind of keep that momentum up. Obviously, I mean that was what it took to put yourself in that position. But obviously, kind of Brandon and I were talking about kind of a tale of two races there. Caution free for that first half, then things got a little bit maybe a little overexcited there that second half of the race. How much did you have to kind of adjust your driving or kind of change your mindset, your game plan with everything that started to go on in that second half of the race?
Well, I know early on, I think I was running third on the inside line, I believe, in some of the opening laps, and wasn't liking the feeling that I was getting. So I went to the apron and went on to the back then, and tried to just stay back there the rest of the race, and unless opportunity arose, which it did a couple times to get back to the front, but. It was either I wanted to be in the front or I wanted to be as far back as I, could stay in contact. But uh, heck of a race. I saved I got some damage on one of the cautions, and took about 19 seconds to repair it. So I saved my quick fix and kept saving it. And uh, there, that last one, I think me and Jason, we had a run going, and then we got caught up in that accident right before that last caution. So had to use a quick fix, luckily, and gosh, it worked out finally.
Yeah, so yeah, and honestly that's what a lot of times just you gotta try to time wins the right time to use that fast repair and save it until you absolutely have to use it. And like I said, you're able to hit that to perfection there and make that charge you needed to at the end. I'll say, so before we give you your opportunity for thanks and shouts, to say I gotta relay some message over to you. So you got a happy mom. That's Patrick's mom, kind of wanting to thank you for the push for her son to get that win. So so yeah, so you got a pretty good shout out from your mom over there with the Groovers to help her boy get to the win there tonight. But yeah, so I know you got some good people that are helping you on board with you, and saying maybe we'll crack open a Bellhaven after tonight's race to enjoy that top three finish. So definitely want to give you the floor though here, Bud, for any thanks and shout outs.
Well, yeah, well, thank you, Patrick's mom. They're some good kids. Well, I call them kids. I'm pretty old, so they can be kids. Um, yeah, thank my wife for everything she does for me, and lets me do this, and uh, I could never, you know, found somebody as great as her. So I'm a lucky guy. So and thank you, Gael, and all the guys at Area 51. Hope your dad did well tonight in that race he was in, and yeah, we'll move on from here next week.
Yeah, so I put this one away. Say a solid result. Obviously, still a long season, of course, but always nice to knock off a solid top three to kick things off. So, yeah, just great job tonight, though. But like I said, enjoy this one. Yeah, go spend some time with the missus to wind down the evening before we get to our Friday. Then yeah, just great job tonight, man, and enjoy this one. And look forward to seeing you next week, sir.
Thanks, Gael. Y'all take care.
All right, that is our third place finisher of Bud Steele, and that's going to drop us over to now our second place finisher, and that is going to be Mr. Sebastian Marin. So we're going to pull Sebastian on in here because, man, yeah, so you were definitely doing some drift practice there after the race, and Brad and I were joking. I'm not sure if that was kind of celebratory of just getting the result you got, or maybe just like you survived the race, you got to the finish and made it to the end. But man, I mean, you did a little bit of everything tonight. I mean, you guys started from the pits there and took about one pit stop cycle, then got up to the group there. Everything looked nice and calm, and you guys were surprisingly just kind of on cruise control there. We kind of expected the season before where you guys just kind of control the field all race long there. And then at that point, just kind of all hell broke loose that last portion of the race, and just there was nowhere safe, it felt like, to be on the track throughout the course of the race. I mean, just take us through you and Gabe and all the guys you're working with. I mean, what were you guys having to try to figure out to position yourselves to be at the right place at the right time?
Yeah, our main plan was really just right at the back, see how the race played out, see if it was going to be a really aggressive race, if it was going to be a clean race. Plus, we were kind of crunching fuel numbers, and being with this new group with Gabe, they kind of tend to run that sort of strategy with fuel numbers and stuff compared to with Steve and Zach, where we were just like out front all the time. So it's a little different pace, but I mean, if it keeps getting the results that we're getting, I'm totally fine. But yeah, the first part of the race was just riding, minding our own business, and when we knew that we could make it on fuel, it was go time, and I knew if I got hooked up to Gabe, it was probably going to be my best shot at winning, and we did. It was just and just bad timing of the third lane getting cleared, and they were just going to have the momentum coming out of four, so there was almost no shot of us winning that unless they got squirrely or something like that, which they didn't. But I mean, I'll take a second place any day of the week.
Yeah, so I think I'll say we'll have to double check the stats. I'll say because you've got a pretty ridiculous stats of top three finishes in this series. But like you said, I'd say obviously not quite there to get the win, but still, like you said, put yourself in position after everything you guys went through, and I say you got yourself in a great spot to have that chance. So, I mean, that's pretty much all you can ask for with these guys. Say Brad and I were joking, so I guess we got to confirm. So you guys were just talking about fuel strategies during when you guys were just kind of in cruise control. Wasn't a holiday recipe sharing or anything like that while you guys were running single file?
No, we were just crunching the numbers, seeing if we can split the stops and hit in at different times, see if we can undercut the field or maybe stay out a few laps to extend our fuel numbers. That was all that we were doing, because these races a lot of them tend to go almost caution free, so that's kind of what we were playing with. But obviously there was a few yellows in between, but it all worked out in the end. We managed to be in the right spot, just couldn't get done.
Yeah, so I would say obviously not for the lack of effort. You guys did an awesome job tonight, though. Still, I'll say it was a lot of fun. I mean, there's one point in the race where it was kind of one of those things where you blink and then it's like, wait, where does Sebastian come from to get to the front at one point in the race? So, there was definitely, definitely the Sebastian we're used to seeing there, just like making these giant moves when you blink, like I said, and we look at one thing, it's like, wait, when did that happen? So, yeah, you guys were doing what you guys do best. It was a lot of fun to see, as always tonight. So, definitely want to give you the floor here, though, sir, for any thanks and shouts you'd like to give for that runner-up spot tonight.
Yeah, I want to thank you for putting on this broadcast. Want to thank Area 51, TW, for putting on this league. It's always a lot of fun running with these guys. And I want to thank the boot knockers. Gabe, JD, Dale. Uh, I know I'm forgetting a few. Eric Laurie. There we go. Still trying to remember their names. But yeah, man, they've been a lot of help. Welcome me with open hands, open arms. I mean, so yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, so you guys will definitely be a potent combo to work with throughout the season. So I have a feeling we'll see plenty of more top 3 finishes between you and, of course, your teammates throughout the course of the season. So yeah, great job though tonight. Like I said, you put yourself in contention, just not quite what you needed to get the win, but still a great result overall though. So say enjoy this one and look forward to seeing you next week, sir.
Yeah, man. Thanks.
All right, that's going to leave us one last person to chat with. That is going to be our race winner in that number 01 truck of Patrick Groover. So we'll go ahead and pull him on in here. And so say the beginning of the race, Patrick, is pretty much you and Seth kept getting kind of split up, but it seemed like it didn't matter who was around you guys. If they were around you, they were going to get shoved to the front. And then finally, I think took about 10 or so laps, you guys finally got latched onto each other. And it honestly, it was the hardest it seemed like anybody could make the outside line work at that point to get around you two on the inside line. So when you guys get locked up, it looks like you guys are very, very difficult to compete against. But of course, unfortunately, some bad luck for Seth. I mean, you had to do your own recovery drive there at the end and stay able to lock on with Bud there and make that big push at the end. But I mean, just take us through kind of the course of your race, because I mean, it definitely had its ups and downs throughout the run tonight.
Yeah, it was up and down for sure. Me and my brother got in an incident there, and that was about mid-race. We were doing pretty good before that, and then I had to go to the back and just work my way up to the front there, and luckily I had some good help to get up to the front there at the end. Bud working that high line, Bud still pushing real good. We got up to there, and then I was able to clear Rick, and then Rick was able to push me to the win. It was just a great race and a lot of fun. These drivers are so good that it's so much fun.
Yeah, so, I mean that was exactly it. Was I mean there were some big moves you saw throughout the course of the race where say obviously we've seen a couple of kind of the elevator move, if I will, where you kind of go from the top to the bottom there. So you were, like I said, you were able to get to the middle there, hop in front of Rick there, and then Rick able to kind of give you the extra push. I mean, and again, I mean, it wasn't an easy drive there even off of 4. I mean, there were a couple times you looked like you definitely had your hands full, because at that point everybody's pushing for all they're worth. I mean, just how tense is it for you behind the wheel when you're trying to get through that tri-oval? Because honestly, that's probably one of the sketchier parts of the track. So you really don't have the banking to kind of hold you down as much. How rough is it for you to have to try to keep that thing pointed right when you're getting shoved around there to the checkered?
Yeah, you just almost gotta just focus out the windshield and just focus forward, because it's coming. You just got to keep your truck steady no matter what they're doing. And luckily, Rick's a great pusher, and we were Sebastian and me were side by side, and Rick just gave me one more shot at the end of the tri-oval there, and it just sent me to the win.
Yeah, it definitely worked out. Say, unfortunately, say you and your brother kind of bookended the field here tonight. Say with you getting the win, him he unfortunately the early retirement ends up in 33rd. But I say we definitely caught your mom on the chat here. She was chiming in, checking in on things. Definitely was pleased to have Bud give you the boost there at the end. So definitely want to give you the floor. Those I say we know you got some people watching for any thanks and shouts I'd like to give for that win tonight.
Yeah, say hi to my mom. And thanks, Seth. In the beginning there, we were working pretty good together. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, but for Seth. But thank Bud for pushing that high line. That was incredible. And then Rick for pushing me to the win, and just the whole group just for being awesome. And this is so much fun. And you guys doing a great job broadcasting. And it's so much fun to watch you guys. And Area 51, it's great league.
So obviously a great way to start off this season. So we've seen lots of promising results from you and your brother over the course of last season, kind of getting in at part time. So now with you guys in it right off the kick here, it's gonna be a lot of fun to see if you two can battle for that championship this season. So enjoy this one. Lots of racing to go though, and look forward to catching you back on track here next week, sir.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, man.
All right, Brandon, that's going to do it for us here tonight. But like you said, kind of that tale of two races, say 5 cautions for 15 laps. And say, honestly, when you look at the overall, I mean, that's honestly not that bad for, say, for a 75 lap race. I say it could definitely be a lot worse. I think just it seemed different, just the fact that most of them were in that latter half of the race. But I mean, that's kind of, I mean, that's plate racing. Things start to get a little bit more ramped up, get a little more wild at the end. But at the end, I said they didn't even get to that green white checker territory. They were able to finish it under regulation. But man, again, as we talk about week in, week out, some big moves by drivers to find their way to get themselves into the top 3 positions tonight.
Yeah, I think during the interviews there, you hit the nail on the head. It was a tale of two races. The first half of the race, caution free, and then all those 5 cautions for 15 laps were in the second half of the race in the last 35 laps. So, it was kind of an interesting race from that standpoint, because it was like watching 2 different races, back to back. The other thing that made it really fun, from my perspective at least, was just watching the different races that were happening. We had, the first half of the race seemed like they were dominated by Seth and Patrick Groover. And then, they got separated. Of course, Seth had a little bit of bad luck there in that first caution that took him out of the race. But at that point, Patrick was still hanging around, not necessarily quite as dominant as they had been as a pair, but still hanging around the entire time. And you still had these guys that were working their way up, Sebastian Marin and Gabe Butler working their way back up. Nick DeGroot with the run. I mean, where did he come from? Wasn't he a lap down with like 5 to go? They're in the top 6, I think. So so many people that just kind of came and went there as the race was unfolding in front of us. I've called a lot of races with you at this point, Guile, and I have I've yet to be able to pick a winner with 5 to go. So it's you just never know what you're going to get. You can watch somebody dominate a race and they won't even finish it. So great race tonight. Tale of 2 races, like you said, but can't look for anything better than what you got tonight from an entertainment standpoint.
Yeah, definitely a lot of fun this evening. And so if you guys enjoyed it tonight, so there's going to be plenty more of it as we talked about. Said we got 4 nights of racing a week over with Area 51. Of course, 3 of which are on Green White Checkered TV. So of course we start off with the Sunday Xfinity Series, and then it goes from there over to the Monday Next Gen Series, which is over on Max Speed TV. And then from there, then we go back to Indy Cars on Tuesday nights with Area 51, with Green White Checkered TV. Thursday nights, we're back here once more as well. So 4 nights of racing, all broadcasted, 3 of them here, 1 on Max Speed TV. So definitely, if you're looking for racing, season just kicked off. So you can always find them, of course, Area 51, iRacing.com. Again, really want to thank everybody involved with the league, all the partners that have been adding on to the league as well. It's always, can't really do much of this without any of them. So thank you all for that. And Brandon, I'll say, can't do these without you as well. So thank you so much for helping me out. As always a pleasure to be in here with you. And yeah, 1 down, 11 to go. It's gonna be a lot of fun this season.
Yeah, man, it is. I can't wait for more just like it.
All right, so thank you all so much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed it. Like I said, we'll double check to see. Hopefully, we get the stream hiccups squared away. But we'll be back strong. We'll be back again here, like I said, on Sunday night. But until then, happy Friday Eve. Hope you all have a wonderful weekend. And of course, as always, stay safe. Have a good night, and we'll talk soon. Take care, everyone.